what's up friends? It's been a while since I did a video like this where I do basically a guitar tutorial, but in the last 9 months or so I've built up enough opinions to where I feel like now I'm ready to do another video like this. So here we go. I want to talk about something I did in a recent Instagram video because it sparked some interest from my Instagram following, and I appreciate all you guys that watch my stuff and check it out. And when you like something, that's what I try to address. So here's the video I'm talking about. So what I want to do is talk about why I think this is important. I basically, in that video, I played the same lick 3 times in a row, and I played it with different styles. The first time I just shredded it with a lot of alternate picking. The second time was more swung with kind of a straight ahead jazz feel. And then the third time was completely legato, where I barely picked at all unless it was absolutely necessary. So it was very smooth, and so each time they sounded very different just because of that. Now, of course, the tail end of each time was a little different just because if the feel is different, it's probably a different style of music anyway, so you're not going to resolve it the same way you do for all types of music. So why I think this is important is because when you are working out licks for guitar, I think rather than working out licks for guitar, you should really just kind of build a vocabulary. For instance, if you learn a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick, which is great, and love Stevie Ray Vaughan, if you play it right, which would be the way Stevie played it, it's only going to work for that kind of thing. It's going to be kind of a shuffle time, blues type vibe. So that's cool, and it worked for Stevie, and it worked for all the guys that copied Stevie for 20 years, or still doing it today. But if all you learn are specific licks from songs, then you're kind of confined to using your chops for that song. You know, if you're an improvisational player, you kind of want to be able to use your musical vocabulary in a broader way. So that's why I think it's important to not just learn a Stevie Ray Vaughan lick, but maybe more of a blues line or blues lick. I don't want to sound too uppity here because I'm not. It's just more the importance of building like a total vocabulary and an understanding of a specific sound so that you can use your chops for all the different kinds of music. If you have to make your living playing guitar, you're probably not always going to be playing the same gig. I mean, unless you're one of the fortunate ones that get to just do their thing. That's why when I work out a line or a passage or a pattern or whatever it may be, I try to be able to do it not just in one way, but try to make it where it's applicable to multiple styles or whatever the musical calling at that moment may be. So I'm going to take another kind of just a random melodic minor sounding lick, and I'll break it down and kind of talk about how to work it out in these different ways. That way you can, you know, it's not just a lick to you, but it's more of a pattern or a code in your head, and you can kind of alter the way you play it. You know, if you want to play it really smooth or make it really shreddy or even jazzy. So the first one I'll do is definitely the hardest. This would be just like playing something straight staccato, alternate picking, and just shredding it as much as possible. Here's the lick I'm going to play. That's the hardest way to play a lick to me, is playing it fast and shreddy, and of course that wasn't even super fast when it comes to shredding, I suppose, but the objective of this video is not to just play fast. But I also played it slow so you can see what I was doing, and it doesn't require too much deep diving as far as what I'm doing physically there. I'm playing a melodic minor passage with some chromatics in it, and I'm picking each note. alternate. I didn't use a metronome just then. I advise when you're working something like this out to use a metronome. And one reason that's important is because to internalize that beat, I know back in the day when I was trying to play like John Petrucci or something, he stressed actually externalizing the beat, which is against what they tell you in music school sometimes, but just to bob your head, you know. That's such a physical way of playing guitar that it's helps to make your whole body involved in it more. So, you know, it really does make it easier to bob your head. A little bit of slop in there, but again, this is not necessarily my comfort zone anymore, especially a lick like this, which is why it's good. Now when I swing the same lick and basically just make it more of a jazzier time feel, you'll see that's kind of the origins of where the melody comes from in the lick. So if I play it kind of like, you know, you see it feels much more natural. It's much more laid back. Now you can play it faster than that if you wanted to, but I'm trying to specifically give it that swing feel. So let me show you a couple of ways to help work on your swing feel. So I had to wake my computer up, sorry about that. But I've got a metronome, I've just got a click going in Logic here. So now that click is set to 100 BPM, but we're gonna pretend it's more like 200 BPM, and we're gonna pretend that's the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. So there's your swing, but you still wanna make sure you know where 1 is, okay? So here's the first step. Now, that's still pretty emotionless. So another way to work on swinging is to force yourself to accent the upbeats in a passage that you're playing. And it's gonna probably sound pretty robotic at first, but it works, so don't laugh. So I'm gonna play the same lick now, and I'm gonna accentuate the upbeats, and the downbeats are gonna be softer, and it's gonna maybe sound a little comical, but this is a good way to practice the swing feel. So here's a good way to practice that without the metronome on right now, but I'm gonna just accentuate the upbeats of that lick. So it's gonna be like this, and I'll go really slow because this is something you'll have to build up to because it's kind of awkward. So obviously that's extreme and that's not super musical, but it's a great way to kind of get yourself in the habit of accenting the upbeats, you know. So I'll do it now with the metronome. Little deviation there at the end, but you get the idea. So that's really hard to do, but I was really accenting the upbeats as much as I could, and I was focusing on 2 and 4, so that helps you just swing things. And then the third way of doing this that I want to address was the legato way of doing it. To me, this is the easiest way to do it at this point in my life, just because this is the sound that I actually enjoy. So most of my playing focuses around trying to make things sound legato. And it comes from sort of the jazz side of things too, I would say, just because a lot of players like Alan Holdsworth and others, they always try to mimic more of a horn-like sound. So this is something I don't necessarily use a metronome to practice this, but I would advise it when you're building up to this kind of thing. So just to play that again very legato, and you can do this different speeds. I'll just kind of take it at a medium pace. So obviously that's way easier for me. I mean, I'm not using my pick, and it's just easier for me to play that way because that's something I go for more often. I do have the little Groove Gear fret wrap here. I forgot I even had it on there because it helps so much with this sort of like legato playing, but you don't have to have it on there. I'll just move it there so it's not doing anything. And then of course this sort of thing always sounds better when you use like a tremolo bar to add expression to it. And of course that's when this really comes in handy, just because if you're using your tremolo bar too, you don't really it's kind of hard to mute those noisy strings sometimes. The differences in how these work, when you're picking something staccato, you're basically, it's like going through the Marine Corps boot camp for guitar, because you're getting your wrist and your right hand and your left hand, everything in your head, even if you're bobbing your head, you're getting it all synced up to just really shred and go for it, and your body is comfortable with that, you know, and and this is a hard lick to play everything alternating like that, you know. So even there, when I'm picking everything, I kind of deviate, but you know, you're ready to do it. And then of course, when you're swinging something and trying to make it more like a jazz line or a bebop line, that's just the most musical way to play, in my opinion. To me, bebop is the original fast yet melodic way to play, at least for modern music. I mean, obviously Bach did everything, so it's not the only way, but just being able to swing stuff and make it sound more bop-like is just a super musical way. So anytime you take like a bebop line and apply it to whatever style you're playing, I guarantee you it's going to sound more musical than if you just string together some scale patterns, which is also okay. Just kind of that swing, flowy bop vibe just kind of gives things a more musical sound. And then if you go learn some Charlie Parker licks, that's the best way to shred. It's really hard. It's going to, especially if you're trying to alternate pick everything, but that's the best way to do it. And then of course the legato thing is extremely musical to me. It gives it a very violin / horn like sound, and it's just very expressive to me. It conveys certain emotions, and to me it sounds super heavy when something is really smooth, you know, and you've got this smooth flowing line going over some kind of groove that's maybe heavy or funky or jazzy or whatever. I just like the way it sounds, and I don't feel like I have to make excuses for why I like it. But when you're able to play something completely legato like that, you know that your left hand is going to be super in tune with things, and you don't have to rely on your right hand to pick something to even out the dynamics. It's just another way to be in tune with the line that you're playing. So I think it has a lot of value, you know, working on things legato like that. I just like the way that sounds. It's really smooth, and it's good to work on patterns that lay nicely for the left hand to do all the work. It's just, to me, it makes music sound the most comfortable. It's very pleasing to the ear. I'll do another video on melodic minor patterns if you would like. So, you know, leave a comment down below and let me know if that's something you'd like me to do. Or if there's anything else you want me to do, leave a comment. I read them a lot. I love to see the comments. So if I can gear certain things toward something you guys want to work on, or something I do that I don't address that you would like me to address, let me know. Until then, I hope this helps kind of get the point across of how important it is to work on a line in different styles. Even if you think you're going to be using it for one thing, learn it 2 or 3 or 4 different ways. You know, learn it, see how a country player would do it or something, because it's all music, and there's 2 kinds of music, good and bad. And your ability to adapt to different styles is just going to make you a better musician. So I hope this is helpful. Let me know in the comments. See you soon.